Hi, Doug Humphreys here from the 8-Hour Lunch Podcast. Today, we're making beer. Actually, what you're about to watch is a compilation of two different batches of beer that we're working on. The first one is kind of a Corona-style beer, a Mexican pale Pilsner, I guess you'd call it. And the other one is an Irish Red, and the Irish Red is only by boiling at the end. We're kind of new to beer, so if we do anything that's really screwed up and you have any advice for us, we'd sure appreciate it. And if not, well, we hope that what we're showing you will help out a little bit. Alright, so we've got 3 gallons of fresh spring water. That's this over here. We use the spring water because otherwise you need to boil it down. And then you have to let all the sediment settle. So Heidi is going to set the timer for 30 minutes. Yep. And could you just let the lid on there and show up? We're at 155 degrees, and that's just going to let the grain steep, and after it's been there for half an hour, we're going to add the malt. Okay. So yeah, it's important if you're a beer maker that you get everything good and sterile, because germs are bad for beer, just like they're bad for you. Alright, so our wort has been boiling for about half an hour, and we've just opened a can of malt here, just malt extract. Now you could do your malt from scratch if you're a masochist. We haven't chosen to do that. You can see that the label's missing from this, and it's not that we're worried about copyright so much, but what you want to do before you actually put this into your wort is you're going to set it in some warm water, and that helps to make it a little bit thinner, and it's easier to pour in. Alright, for the last step, you'll want to put your wort, when it's finally finished boiling, into a bath of ice water and let it cool down to room temperature. Now, we've found that usually this takes about 5 to 7 hours, just depending on how much ice you have around. You probably want to buy a couple of bags ahead of time just to make sure that you have enough, because the ice melts really fast, and 3 gallons of boiling water, well, it just takes a long time to cool down. Okay, so our wort has cooled, and we've got the rest of the water. You can see what it looks like in here. Nothing terribly exciting, but there will be some scum on the outside edges of it from where it's been cooling, and that'll get even worse actually after it's been sitting for a few weeks. Huh? Good?
Alright, this is Doug pouring the cooled wort into the bucket. It's good to splash it around, like he was saying. Watch out for the bag at the bottom.
Oh, yep.
Because we have some hops.
Oh, nice job, Douglas. Alright, actually I'll pour in the water too.
Yep. Splash it really good. Get them high up.
Maybe not so much that it's all over the floor. Wait, the 5-gallon line?
Hard to tell with all the foam.
Yeah, that's right on.
Okay.
Alright. And now we put the lid on, or no?
Yep, yeah. Put the lid on, give it a good shake. Aerate it as much as possible at this point.
Be careful to leave your thumb on the hole here, or else you'll have sticky warts everywhere.
You'll notice I let Doug do this part because, well, it's hard. It's heavy.
Good enough?
It's great.
Okay. So we've got 3 gizmos here. Every one of them is sterilized, because that's very important at this point. So this is where I'm going to put the beer that we're testing, and this is called a wine thief. You can see this little gadget here. Can you zoom in on that? You push that in, and the beer or the wine or whatever it is you're testing shoots up in this, and this is the hydrometer. Now, quite often we just like to stick the hydrometer in there first. Be careful though, because it's glass, and it'll break really easily. Okay, so make sure the extra water's out of there. And you don't even have to actually tap it on the bottom of the bucket fact, it's better if you don't, because then you don't get sediment if there is any. Of course, at this stage...
This doesn't seem to have terrible sediment, actually.
Yeah, this one's
Just
not
yet.
too bad. It will. Okay, so I'll bring over my hydrometer, and I'm going to fill up the vial here. And it looks like you're going to need a little bit more to actually get a real test on this. Not too much though. And we can be a little bit sloppier right now because this hasn't fermented yet. It looks good to me. You just want to have it to the point where it's not touching the bottom anymore, so you can see it's floating up off the top. And
that's going to make someone sick. Hold on. There we go.
You can come in close here. I want the audience to see. There are actually 3 things we're going to measure. I don't need this anymore, so I'm going to put it in the sink. Okay, can you get in really close here? Alright, what you're seeing here is potential alcohol, and the potential alcohol says how much alcohol could be in this recipe, and that's why we're making this first measurement. On the other side, you'll see a specific gravity reading. We're going to take a reading now, and we're going to have it drop down to about 1.012 ideally when it settles, although our last batch was 1.014. I believe is the number we came up with, as long as it's stable between the last 2 measurements. So you just drop this down in, you give it a good spin so no bubbles are grabbing it. Okay, and when it comes to a stop, that's the number you're going to write down. Now the higher the potential alcohol number, the happier this batch of beer is going to be. So you can see that this particular batch, well, it looks like it's got a potential alcohol of about 5.5 or 6%. Okay, so we're just pouring back in our sample on top of the yeast that we just sprinkled on the top. And, well, that's pretty much it. We're going to shake it around a little bit after we get the lid back on. Hi, lid. And then we'll put on an airlock and let it sit. Okay, hang on. Okay, so we're putting in the airlock now, and you can see there's a line about halfway up, and we're going to fill it up with water to that line.
Using the least efficient method.
Yes. Okay, and then we're going to put the float on top of it, and the lid. And by tomorrow morning, you should probably see some bubbles coming out of there. That's a good sign that your fermentation process has started, but your hydrometer is the main tool for measuring, and you want to make sure that actually when you take it out and measure again that the specific gravity has gone down and that the number on your alcohol has gone down also. That doesn't mean your alcohol percentage has gone down, it just means you're going to subtract the smaller number from the larger number, and that'll be your final alcohol percentage for the beer. And if you've done everything right, your airlock should start doing this by the next morning.